Peter Simeti sent me the script, and he said, I'd like you to look at the role of the warden, and the warden is sadistic, so that's generally the kind of roles that I get. But I was really interested in this one because he's more than just sadistic. There's a plot twist, psychological horror, and you're not sure how much this inmate, Sullivan, is imagining and how much is really happening. It's more than just horror, it's a deeper psychological. Peter said in his publicity for the graphic novel that the greatest horror comes from the human soul. And it's an idea that I'm really into.
And what inspires you about a horror film? What makes you want to do it besides getting hired and paid?
I think that my favorite author, Ray Bradbury, said it best. So, to ape Bradbury, with apologies to his memory, he said that tensions get built up in our society because we're a society of laws. The tension for murder, the tension for revenge, the tension for all of the darkness gets built up, and it has to be released. And so art, as Friedrich Nietzsche said, we have art so that we do not die of reality. That's what a good horror film can do, and I emphasize a good one because there are many that are not. But the good ones can get into your brain, make you feel that you have murdered, that you have committed vile acts of revenge, that you have been horribly afraid, all of the things that we do not want to do in real life, and so then we're cleansed. I think it's very cathartic when it's done right.
Why do you think you're pegged as an actor for characters that are evil and murderous?
This. Camera is nothing but this. I did stage for 15 years, and I played Jesus, I played Mark Twain, I played JFK, I did musical comedy. But the camera's right here, and the camera sees what the camera sees, and what it sees in me is some sort of wounded malevolence, I would say. In fact, I'm very proud that someone put on my IMDb page where you can list trademarks for actors, and they put known for playing macabre characters with a sense of melancholy, which is very similar to what's on Lon Chaney's IMDb page, and that's what I try to do, is to bring a humanity and a sense of woundedness to these monstrous people that I'm called on to play.
So in other words, you see the good side in an evil person. They can have evil deeds, but a part of them is a seed of hope in them, or they're just evil through and through?
Well, there's a poignancy to life, right? I mean, the fact that as we're born, we begin to die, and we know that that's coming. It's a built-in poignancy and woundedness and yearning. If you live any space of life, you'll have regrets and you'll have remorse. What do you do with those things? You can either say, well, I'm not going to ruminate. I'm going to live only in the here and now. And
they're coming for you.
I hear them. I hear them.
They're coming for you.
As I'm off on this rant. You can say I'm going to live in the here and now, and I'm just going to distract myself. But it's still there. Or you can act it out in some violent, horrible way, as we see happening over and over in our society. Or you can do what artists do, which is to try to put it in a story form and let people over and over and over again hear and live this story of regret, remorse, and what ifs. That's the stuff that life's made of.
Why should people invest in this particular Kickstarter project?
I think that there has not been a great death row movie made in this country in a long, long time. So aside from the horror and thriller aspects of it, this is a great movie about death row, which may be a thing that's, falling away in American society. Certainly in this world, we have the electric chair. I can't think of a more brutal way to die than to be strapped in a chair and have electric jolt sent through you. Now imagine that you are facing that fate and you're not guilty of what they've charged you with. There's inherent drama in it. I think it's a great prison movie. I like prison movies. It's got a lot of things going for it besides just horror, and it's based on a graphic novel, which means that the themes are very, very strong, and again, very, very cathartic. It's a movie that I know fans will like.
So people that have an opportunity in the rest of the country that aren't in Hollywood to invest, to be part of this, what do you think that's, how does a project like this involve someone and give them that opportunity? How can they become part of this?
I will tell you that in investing in a film on Kickstarter, every actor, we know the people who invest. You do look at the names, you form relationships. Besides just saying, I'm going to support this project, it's a way to begin to develop, if you really love film, to develop relationships with filmmakers, with actors, with people who make these things happen. in addition to getting the perks and things like that, I think it's about being part of a community. The only way that good indie films will be made is with support from outside of traditional investors. That's just the way the market is now. And I'd like people to help to the extent that they can to get this film made. I've donated, and I'd like to invite them to do that too.
Oh, you've donated to them. Well, you're donating yourself, but you also have donated financially.
Oh, well, yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, if you're going to have your name on a project, then, you know, you want to help out some, yeah.
So tell us about some of the other actors that are involved. I know Naomi Grossman, who we've already talked to. Have you worked with any of the other actors?
I haven't worked with any of the other actors, and that's one reason that I'm selfishly excited about this, to work with Naomi Grossman and to work with Brian Thompson, to work with Eric Roberts. All of these people, Zach Galligan, all of these people who I have watched as a fan of the genre for so many years. I think it's a dream cast. I'm not including myself in that, but I think that if fans look at this, genre fans, they'll see, you know, to get all of this cast together in a great gripping death row story is something that I think fans will like.
Now, Eric Roberts is such a terrific actor. Do you have any of your scenes with Eric Roberts in the movie?
I would have scenes with Eric Roberts too. Yeah, and of course my opposite in this, I would be the antagonist, and the protagonist is Brian Thompson, who's a tremendous actor. Many of these people have been involved in shows and worlds that I love, such as Star Trek. So, you know, I just want to buttonhole them to the side and say, hey, you know, what was that like? You know, almost everybody in the film has done projects, Naomi with American Horror Story, projects that I'm really into, and that I think fans would be into too. It's a fun cast.
Now you've worked in, obviously in television. You were on Criminal Mind, very successful role, and also, and I believe you work in soap opera too, a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit. What TV shows do you think today, right now, what do you watch that you feel, I mean, it's a wonderful renaissance in TV right now.
Yes, it is.
I actually think there's better things almost going on TV than on the screen sometimes.
I do too, and in, the things that are going on in television that excite me now are the dramas, not the comedies. You know, in my era when I was growing up, the sitcom was king, and there were some really, really great sitcoms, and the dramas were, you know, sort of, you have your procedurals and your cop shows, but boy, now Penny Dreadful is something that I really, really have enjoyed. I thought it was tremendously well done. I'm a big-time cable guy, because I like a little of the darkness. So
you're a horror-phile, actually.
I am a horror-phile. But you know, Boris Karloff said this really well. Boris Karloff said it should be called terror, because horror connotates repulsion, and terror connotates fear.
But there are very repulsive type films. I mean, there's
Yes.
And have you been any of those kinds of films that are hacker, slasher, torture, these kinds of movies? Have you played these? And I don't want to give away anything from the chair.
Yes.
But have you played those kinds of roles?
I have done films that are simply bloodfest. They're not very much fun to make, and not very much fun to watch.
You don't like to make gory movies?
Movies that are gory are fine, but you want a little bit of story, a little thought behind them, or else the cast is not taking it seriously, and it's just, there's no heart and soul there. But the great movies have a little bit of gore and a lot of story. I personally like that mix a lot better.